This is the story about our American Revolution. British General Lord Cornwallis could not suppress the American rebellion in the South. Frustrated by losses at Kings Mountain, Cowpens, and Guilford Courthouse, Cornwallis moved his army north to Virginia in an effort to turn off the spigot of French aid that was helping fuel the American resistance. By establishing a military base of operations at Yorktown, Cornwallis could be reinforced by British Royal Navy supply ships, vessels that were soon engaged in a fierce naval battle off the Virginia Capes. While French and British ships battled for control of the Chesapeake Bay, Generals George Washington and Rochambeau were marching their troops and wagon trains south through Virginia to lay siege to Yorktown, entrapping Cornwallis and his entire army. This is the story of that march.
Hello, and welcome to the Real American Revolution, where we explore what really happened before, during, and after America's War for Independence. This series, retracing the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route through Virginia, is sponsored by the National Park Foundation and the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route Association, commonly referred to as W3R. I'm here at DeJarnette Crossroads in the background, a very important historic site along the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route. My name is Randy Flood, and I'll be your host for this series. Dr. Seelig is going to be narrating this and giving you a perspective as to how important it is in the story of the trail.
Thank you very much for this introduction, Mr. Flood, as we are making our way together across Virginia to Yorktown and Victory. You pointed out that we are here at one of the most important intersections of the whole Washington-Rochambeau revolutionary route. It seems sort of out of the way and quiet, but why are we here? Well, being here at this intersection of the Mattaponi Trail and the Spotter Road gives me the opportunity to introduce to you and to talk about three important aspects of this Washington-Rochambeau revolutionary route. First, I want to talk about the troops that are marching down this trail, which are the Hussars of Lauzun's Legion. Secondly, I would like to explain to you why this is so important that the Hussars would be riding down this trail and not any other trail. And at the end of our little time together today, I would like to introduce to you a very important source that you can use, and that's very easily available, to learn more about the War of Independence and the Yorktown campaign. We already learned earlier in our conversations that the Comte de Rochambeau, when he comes to America in July of 1780, he brings with him 4 regiments of infantry, he brings some artillery, and he also brings what is known as Lauzun's Legion, the Foreign Volunteers of Lauzun, as the official title is. Well, who are these people? Well, this unit is created specifically for the Duc de Lauzun because he wants to come to America and he needs some troops to command. So the Lauzun's Legion is created in March of 1780, just before they sail for America. And it's very interesting because it's not only infantry and artillery, but it also has 300 hussars. Now, what is a hussar? A hussar is a cavalryman. A hussar is somebody who rides on a horse. Why are they called hussars? Well, hussar, the name is of Hungarian origin because their origins are in the border wars between Christians and Muslims in Eastern Europe. That's where their origins are, and their name, hussar, actually means somebody who robs and steals. So it's not a very nice definition of what a hussar is, but once you know what the name means, you'll also understand why they did not have any pockets in their pants. Hussars are very distinguished by their uniforms, by their coats, by the silver braiding and all that. They have such beautiful uniforms that in the 18th century there was the saying that the hussars are the only unit that can empty a village just by riding up to it. The men run away from them and the women run toward them. These are these men who are riding down this road. And if you listened, I said the true name of this unit that's going to be riding here is called the Foreign Volunteers of Lauzun, which means they are recruited not in France but outside France, which explains why the language of command, the language that most of these people are speaking, is German, not French. These are the men who are riding down this road based on the orders of the Comte de Rochambeau. Well, why would they go down this road that looks kind of deserted today, and which was much more rural almost 250 years ago? Well, Lauzun's Legion was the only unit that did not get on board vessels in Baltimore as the rest of the French army boarded vessels to sail to Virginia, but they received orders from the Comte de Rochambeau to ride to Virginia, initially to ride to Yorktown. But as they are making their way south from Baltimore, past Mount Vernon into Virginia, Rochambeau changes his orders. He has just learned that on the Gloucester side of the York River, there's only some Virginia militia, but thousands of British troops under Colonel Tarleton and Colonel Simcoe. And Rochambeau realized that if Cornwallis were to try to escape, he would set over to the Gloucester side and ride up this part of Virginia. So he knew that he would have to reinforce the troops on the Gloucester side. And the only unit that he had available now, and that was fast enough to get there, because remember they all are riding on horses, is Lauzun's Legion. And this is why they're on this side of the river, and this is why they're ordered to take the Mattapony Trail, this road here, to get to Gloucester as quickly as possible. As they are riding down to Gloucester, they need supplies. They need water, they need firewood, they need hay for their horses, etc. And the records of what they purchased, where and from whom, are all still available. And if you look at those records, you will see that there are dozens, hundreds of people whose names show up there on these lists, among them Lund Washington, who is running Mount Vernon at the time because, you know, General Washington is not available. There you see that this victory at Yorktown was only made possible because we have hundreds, thousands of people along the trail providing their support. When Lauzun's Legion rides into Virginia and down the Mattapony Trail on their way to Gloucester, they create quite a fuss, not only because of their uniforms, and you have hundreds of men with their horses coming through, because also they have a distinguishing feature that you will see nowhere in 18th century America, namely by ordinance, by law, they all have to have a mustache and braids coming down their sides. Virginians had never seen that. Nobody in Virginia has a mustache in 1781. And so it's not surprising that this description, this mentioning of these very different men will show up in what is a very important source on the War of Independence. And those are pension applications that were filed in 1832 by the veterans who had fought in this war. These pension applications are available that you can see, you can read and learn about the experiences of these men. I want to quote one of these pension applications to you, and this is from a man named Enoch Breton. Enoch Breeden is from King William County, and he is in the militia. And in his pension application, he writes that when he was at Ware Church in Gloucester County, he was joined by the French horse under Duke Lauzun. Those troopers all wore large mustaches on their upper lips and very large whiskers. Lower down, they were joined by a large body of French infantry, and at Soul's Ordinary near Gloucester town, the Duke Lauzun's horse, who were in the advance, had a skirmish with the enemy horse and beat them back to their entrenchments. That skirmish that Breeden is talking about is known as the Battle of the Hook. It's the largest cavalry engagement in the War of Independence, and as we make our way down to Gloucester, we'll be seeing these hussars in action as soldiers, not just as men who walk up and down the streets picking up things that may not be their own. I'll see you down in Gloucester. Thank you much. Bye-bye.
Bob, thanks so much for sharing with us your valuable insight into this historic site. To our viewers, thank you for watching. Join us for our next episode when we'll feature Green Falls, Virginia. On behalf of the Real American Revolution, my name is Randy Flood. Thanks for watching.